Hi, this is Leon Lovelace with Unstoppable Force, and what's your name again, Miss?
My name is Ansha Miller.
Okay, and what company did you work for again?
I work for a nonprofit organization called Center for Environmental Health.
Okay, and what does your company do?
So we're all about protecting people from toxic chemicals.
And of course, with the Chemex that Kim Moores has been dumping into the river, are there any other chemicals you're worried about? People are getting poisoned, not just from Kim Moores, but maybe any other companies around North Carolina that's dumping, chemicals in the river?
So I'm only starting to take a look at what's going on around here, but what I understand is it's not just Gen X, but other perfluorinated compounds. So a lot of folks know about Teflon and are moving over to more cast iron pans and aluminum pans and things that don't have Teflon in it because it's healthier, and that's great. But one of the reasons is because the Teflon can hey there, how are you doing? Is because Teflon contained PFOA, and Gen X was developed as an alternative to PFOA.
I know that already.
Yeah. So those chemicals are also found in the water, and their legacy. And so, one of the things that's very frustrating is that the whole system is broken. So there's no burden of proof for the chemical industry when they're making chemicals to demonstrate that they're actually safe. So, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, we find out that a lot of academics do testing on a chemical once it's already been in the market, once it's already been in our waters, and they get rid of it. And, a company like DuPont says, okay, mea culpa, this chemical was bad, so we're going to do something else. And then what do? Gen X. And there's also no guarantee that Gen X is going to be any safer, or just safe to drink, and it ends up in people's drinking water. So, and then not only do you get Gen X, the new chemical, but these things are persistent. They don't go away. And so you still have the PFOA, you still have the PFOS, and that's a problem. We're getting sick.
Yeah, let's see. I had something, but then I lost it. With Teflon, is Teflon on like nonstick pans? Is that like unsafe, like especially if it chips off, that kind of thing?
Exactly. And for those of you who have had Teflon pans or nonstick pans, that they do chip off. Especially those of us, I'm not going to name any names, but who have, used a knife on it or metal spatulas and whatnot. And, so then what the chemical industry says or the pan company says is, well, you're not supposed to be using metal on the Teflon, but, everybody does it.
People make mistakes.
People make mistakes, so you just don't think about it. You're like something's burning and you reach for whatever's there. But when you look at the fact that they actually give warnings for bird owners not to use Teflon because it kills birds. Have you heard of the canary in the coal mine?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So those are the canary in our coal mine. Mm-hmm. So if it's killing the birds, it's messing up our bodies too.
Yeah,
and science has borne that out, that these perfluorinated chemicals, first of all, they persist. And a lot of times these fluorinated chemicals, when they're burned, tend to turn into dioxin, which is the most deadly chemical that is known to man, basically.
Okay. Had something else, but I forgot it. Maybe I should have wrote stuff down, but that's all right.
So you asked earlier about other chemicals in North Carolina that are of concern. It raises a bigger question. On my Facebook page, just randomly, it popped up that North Carolina is trying to attract the chemical industry to the state. And they're saying that North Carolina is the top 5 state for chemical production facilities and manufacturing in the country. And I'm not against chemicals. I think that they're useful for everything from your microphone and camera to actually cleaning up the water.
Yeah.
The problem that I have is the fact that there is no regulations on whether something is safe or not. And people are getting elected into office saying, well, we're just going to break down all the regulations. We don't need them. They're cumbersome to industry.
And then sometimes if they do regulate them, they don't regulate them enough. So it's only, they pollute a little bit instead of a lot, and it's still harming the people, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And, I think earlier in the rally, somebody was talking about the fact that there's like over 80,000 chemicals on the market. And these chemicals have to go, if they're actually going to be reviewed, have to go one by one. And only a handful of those chemicals have actually been taken off the market, and a couple hundred have full health and safety testing. The rest of them, there's a bunch of question marks on most of the things that we might be concerned about, like, has this thing been tested for cancer? Has this thing been tested for whether it's going to cause learning disabilities? Most of the time that hasn't been true. And so we're inviting more and more of this industry into our state, and we have no idea whether it's safe or not. There's other ways to do it, right? So there's a whole field of green chemistry now, but I don't hear people talking about that. And we have a huge agricultural industry here too, which has its own problems. But we should be thinking about, like, can we be making some of these chemicals out of agricultural products, like potatoes, into a new kind of plastic, as opposed to just pulling dirty fossil fuels out of the ground and turning it into chemicals that way.
Yeah, and one thing I've seen, because I was looking up more news articles about the Chemex that was going on, is that they keep saying that they're not even, looking at and really measuring, like, at the sites that Chemours is actually, polluting less or dumping less of the Chemex in the river. But they're saying that Chemours is saying they're not dumping any more Chemex in the river, but just them not actually measuring it, that just seems like they're just bullshitting us, just try to get us to quit trying to rally and try to really push them into actually regulating them, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't, but it just boggles my mind that these companies, what they're driven by is liability.
Yeah,
what
profits.
They're driven by is profits. And these folks live here too.
Yeah.
Right? We all just want clean air and clean water. And that should be the first thing that they're thinking about. And it just boggles my mind that it takes something like Governor Cooper saying that we're actually going to look into criminal investigations before they start feeling on the hot seat.
Oh, really? I didn't see that at all, so I need to look that up. Because I actually wanted to criticize him because I haven't seen him make any statements or come down here to actually say, you know what, and him declare that he could do a few actions to clean up the river, because even though he doesn't control the legislator, he's still the governor. He has some executive power to do something about it. Because, I mean, we're still all going to be harmed. At least the residents and the people that work here are going to be harmed and continually be harmed by the poisoning. So.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like I think looking into criminal investigations is a good step.
Yeah.
And I also heard that the state legislature is trying to stop him, basically, by doing an investigation or doing hearings on whether and how he's getting the funding in order to do that criminal investigation?
Yeah, I did read about that. I just didn't hear about him talk about criminal investigation, but they just said that, or I read that they said they were upset about his response and, it wasn't strong enough. But yeah, we'll just have to see, what are they really up to, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. And then, the other thing that is frustrating, I don't know if you've heard the name Michael Dorson. So he is a guy who was just nominated by the Trump administration to head up all of EPA's toxic work. And it's a really important position, right? Because we need somebody who's there in our federal government, setting the rules and figuring out whether the chemicals that are out there in the environment are safe. This guy has spent his career. He had an organization called Toxicological Excellence for Risk Assessment, where many of his clients were the chemical and tobacco industry. And
So he let him slide a little bit, didn't he?
It's not just that he let him slide. It's that when there was concern about a chemical, and there was actually some impetus to do something about it, he was the go-to guy for the chemical industry for him to do these risk assessments. So he would cherry pick industry-funded studies. He would put together these panels that he would lead, and basically bless the chemical as safe.
Of course, that's problematic because that's what's happening in Flint, Michigan. They would cherry pick certain houses to test the lead levels for the water. Of course, they wouldn't test the whole city block or certain blocks at a time. They just pick certain houses. So I guess they knew which houses would emit less or show less lead levels in the water, that kind of thing. So there's way too much corruption going on in the government. So we gotta really get money out of politics. So that's the heart of the matter, is because the money in politics, they're paid to funnel money and deregulate all these industries so they could make more profits, and we're getting fucked over at the end.
That is all true. We definitely need to get money out of politics, especially the corporate money, because I think our health comes first. And clearly, a lot of these corporate dollars are not worried about our health, and that's really a problem. So, what do you think about this guy, Michael Dorson? Do you think he'd make a good candidate for overseeing our toxics program?
No. Unfortunately, I don't know if we'll be able to kick him out of office. So we just might be screwed for a little while. But we just got to keep fighting, because if we